I mean, unfortunately, the problem is that debate is kind of dead in this climate that we're in, as far as social media, as far as the culture, as far as even politically. You see what it's sort of gone into. Like you said, automatically, the sides already decided who the winner is before the debate even happened. There's going to be people who are just firmly going to back Smash, people who are firmly going to back Colin because they already agree with the initial opinion being brought in that is being debated about. And there's no swaying anybody. Once they've already made that up in their mind, there's no swaying anybody because nobody wants to give an inch, especially in this cultural space. The one thing I will say is I get where you're coming from, is that Smash should be sort of more wary of platforming some of these guys because they're coming in with an angle. Like Colin, like you said, he's already been yeeted out of the space, and instead of being more, I guess, honest about it, he's trying to get back in. He's trying to plug himself back into the matrix. He's that guy who's been unplugged that's like desperately, I want to go back in. I want to go back in. And he sees, like, if I can take Smash down a few notches, if I can generate some attention, if I can generate some buzz, if I could get, our people, our reset era flunkies to kiss my ass again, maybe someone will hire me to do something. Maybe they'll let me back in. Maybe they'll let me back in the building over at IGN. That's not what happened. And that's why Colin is probably quiet about it. He didn't take a victory lap on social media or anything like that.
Not in the short term, but the damage control we're seeing is quite evident, Jose. But I understand that mindset. Especially if you're someone who got exiled, not because of the fact that everyone there hated you, but because, look, we got to let you go, wait for the heat to die down, then we can welcome you in some other capacity.
Colin is not getting back in unless he gets a dramatic surgery in somewhere like Korea that turns him from a white man into an ugly black lesbian. That's his ticket back into the gaming industry. All right.
The mindset of, re-entering a place that you were once part of, right? It's very alluring, especially for any exile. I mean, what would my mentor give to get all the connections he once had? That sort of thing. Thankfully, he won't do that because he's enjoying a peaceful retirement. I think he's sleeping at the moment. I wish I could get a good night's sleep. But the point is, folks, some people are willing to, for lack of a better word, scalp the opposition to prove their worth, okay? If I took down a prominent creator in the opposition, how many prominent creators on our side of the aisle, for lack of a better term, would come knocking on the door? Or maybe their assistants looking for some new talent. It's part of the game we play, and I know my mentor hated, the Game of Thrones that is content creation, but we have to understand that if you don't play at least a part of it on a pragmatic level, you're going to end up like Ned Stark. You're going to be a very honorable man who's going to be remembered very well, but you're going to have your head cut off, okay? In more ways than one. But what about you, Mark? What do you make of everything you've heard so far?
So I felt so sort of incensed by that debate that I ended up making a video about it. And people can call it a call-out video. I rarely do them. I did one on Fighting Cowboy when he attacked gamers. What I focused on, I don't really care about Ghost of Yotei sales. It doesn't affect my decision on the game. People love crappy things out there. Look at pop music. I mean, I think it's garbage, but millions and millions of people buy it. So I don't care what's popular. That doesn't tell me it's good. So all that aside, their Circana data aside, the biggest problem I had with Colin was how demeaning and condescending he was towards Smash. Smash continued to be polite. Smash continued to treat him as an equal. In the entire time, Colin was there treating Smash like Smash was an idiot who didn't understand anything. And at one point, Colin's even like, how do you not get this? Oh my gosh, you're so stupid, Smash. How come you're not as smart as I am? And it's impossible not to notice that whole debate, Colin repeated over and over again some of the same insults we hear from the left-wing woke crowd. He insinuated we don't like games with women. He insinuated we don't like games with black people. He attacked us on the basis that apparently we're gamers. That's a problem. He just repeated these woke insults that we hear from the woke crowd. And then when I addressed that in my tweets, which blew up a little bit on X, I noticed that the Colin fans came at me in the exact same way the woke crowd does.
Yep.
You know, they don't like being called NPCs, but yet they all say and do the exact same things in complete lockstep.
Yes.
And you see like the points that we make. And when we agree on stuff, whether it's Mark, whether it's Digny, whether it's, whether it's Helzo, whether it's Roger, whether it's me, if we agree on something, we still all come at it from different angles and perspectives that add something to it. But the left will come at you from the exact same angle, the exact same way, the exact same time. They're not looking to debate. They're looking for sound clips, sound bites, clapbacks, and all this nonsense. And that's how they treat everything. That's how they treated the virus that we handled 4 or 5 years ago too, and everything else. It's always the exact same thing with them.
That's because they're narrative followers. They don't have a personal opinion. I actually today I had a very long back and forth with someone that I do not think that it's even worth mentioning on X regarding another one of the Smash topics regarding, which was also connected to this. The thing is that, and Mark very well said in the chat that he's like entirely too nice. He's a nice person. Yes, he is. And he also caters to what I consider most sacred in these things, logic. Like, go about it logically. If someone else has a logical explanation for their part, accept it, because that's how you evolve. And that's his way of thinking. And I absolutely respect Smash for that. I've had several talks with him, and he's always like that. And that's something that I look forward to, because I personally am like that. And if we disagree on stuff, I'm not just gonna blindly disregard and insult you and tell you don't how don't you understand this or something. I'm going to accept your view, and if it's a different view, okay, we agree to disagree. That's the thing. And I've been saying this for far too long. The agree to disagree capability of humanity is vastly diminished. The more time we're on the internet, the more time it's happening, the more radical people become on every side. You just don't accept when someone has a different opinion because it doesn't connect with your reality. That's the worst thing that can happen to us as a species.
Well, I know this sounds crazy, folks. Bear with me, right? You don't logically win a fist fight, okay? Especially when it's in the heat of the moment. Most of it's instinct, man. The blood's pumping, the energy's off the charts, and that's the mindset you've got to take, in my view, in situations like that, right? You come out swinging, you stand by what you say, whether it's right or wrong. That's why people don't apologize in this day and age, because if you apologize, right,
you're weak.
You're
show
weak.
Weakness.
You're weak.
Yeah.
The opposition will still come at you, and your own side will tear you apart.
Exactly.
Well, that's why, folks. That's why when I, as you know, just take my word as a 180 plus sub creator who's only been doing this for a few months. But if I were in Smash's position, right, especially on home turf, right, you come out swinging, and if you're on the back foot, you call for reinforcements. It's called a culture war for a reason.
Yeah, because that's what they'll do. They brought their guys and had them all infiltrate his chat room.
And that's the thing. This wasn't supposed to be like that. It was supposed to be a discussion, a friendly discussion, actually. And he invited him with the greatest intentions. And the thing is that, and I understand, Digny, where you're coming from on that. However, if we start to be just like that, like them, then we're no better than them. And I know, you can say Smash lost this one based on the poll, based on how a lot of people are screeching over, oh, look at how dumb Smash is and stuff like that. Go to Smash's account on X and see his snippets from that debate and take a look at what's happening and how Smash is trying to keep the conversation going on the main topic instead of just going to and that's what happens. Like when you're moving the goalpost, that means you're losing the main point, and that's
you can always Helzo, and this is a point everyone should remember, because my mentor, I can't legally name him, folks, on this platform. Everyone who's in the know knows. If you're not in the know, you can't know. Let's just put it that way, folks. My mentor taught me everything I know about content creation, and he told me a lot about Smash. In his view, what Smash needs to really keep on going and keep on growing in the future is that iron will and determination, right? And I think a great way for him to get that, because if you can't get something yourself, folks, just like with a country, if you can't get something within your own land, you find it, or you take it, or you negotiate with those in another land. And I think that's what Smash needs to do. He needs to do what Hypno did, and that's build a power base around him, not just of the same kinds of people, but of all different types of people, whether they're crazy, talented, controversial, consistent, male, female, a little bit of both, and everything in between. And look how successful not only Hypno is doing, but the power base he has built around himself. It's not easy. Don't get me wrong. Trying to find, a good group of regulars is not easy. We've made 4 network shows. It is not easy, folks, but it is possible. And I think that is the missing link for Smash, because he has so much to do. He has to be a family guy. He has to deal with a lawsuit. He has to be there for his wife who works as a medical practitioner with cancer patients. He has to look after his kiddos who are growing up and are turning into teenagers in the digital world. Good luck, kids. Good luck. Good luck to them. And he also has to manage a channel and a secondary channel and manage a streaming schedule and guest schedules and all that things and guest appearances. It's too much for one man to do. In my view, I think a better example would be to compare him with Craig Skiskamus, Stuttering Craig, right? He has a nice lady, Blabs, who manages the ship for him over at the side scrollers. He's more of a legacy figure, and they've got a great group of people. Yes, Gay Ray is involved in that project, but I'm sure he's a talented guy. Ray is like a Rumble exclusive creator. Me and my mentor and Jose and Alki John talk about him all the time. But the point is, it works for them. So if it can work for them, it can work for Smash, if you know what I'm saying.
But I get where you're coming from, because even as somebody who's way smaller, I understand that exhaustion of when you're trying to spin too many plates in real life, in content creation, and all the things you want to do. You can burn yourself out quickly. Look, I got 3 jobs and an elderly mom, and I am exhausted all the time. That's, people are like, well, why don't you do more stuff? Why don't you make more videos? Why don't you try to branch out this way, that way? I'm like, well, what time? Unless I can create the clankers, I could create a few clanker versions of me that can get it done. But I think they come out like little babies, like what Slay created. So, it's hard to spin plates. You gotta get people that you can count on and trust to help.
And there aren't many.
Stuff. Yeah,
there are not many. And even if everything is going in a positive direction, all it takes is a massive turn of events or a big controversy to completely collapse what could be months of preparation, right?
Exactly.
And that's why I think, I've just started. I think I've got a lot of potential to grow. I haven't seen another creator make 4 shows in 2 months, but not to toot my own horn too much. That's what these guys are here to do. Hey, Roger, you can do that. You can climb the greasy pole that way by constantly saying how great I am. But the point is, folks, the more prominent you get, the less likely you can stay a one-man band, because it will eventually completely overwhelm you. Look at Asmongold. Look at all the people who work with him behind the scenes to make sure he gets the clips, he gets the links. He's more of a legacy figure, right? Who leads from the front, but doesn't manage the entire operation, right? And that's one example. But you will find the vast majority of creators who are prominent creators and up. That's 100K subs and up on YouTube. it's not just them.
Quartering's a great example too.
Yeah, the quartering as well, although it's a bit shaky. But it's not just them. It's also a team of people. Some you see on camera, some you don't. And that's why I'm very grateful to all the mods in the chat. Now we're going to get Roger's thoughts because he looks depressed.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a whole entire thing where you're trying to do too much and all that. It, like what James was saying, doing too much, it will eventually burn you out. That's why whenever I try doing whatever I can, I'm not trying to do like daily videos. I just try to find like stuff that I have a personal interest in until I could get a little bit further along into this quote unquote content creator career and whatnot.
Well, I'll tell you this, right? As a fellow creator just starting out, Roger, it is not easy, right? There's no one way to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Even if your mindset in the mindset of I'm going to throw everything I have into this, even under those circumstances, you may not succeed. There are some creators who throw everything they have into this and fail. There are some creators who just like, release something and it blows up. That's how variant what we do is, and that's why I don't think it can be professionalized. I don't think it can be institutionalized because there isn't one way to become a content creator. There is one way to become a policeman or a soldier or a fireman or a politician or any other profession, quote unquote, but there's no one way to be a content creator. You can be a content creator leading from the front. You can become a content creator starting off as a mod in someone's community. You can be a content creator and be a success if your friend's a prominent content creator. You're on his show once, he jacks up your sub count, and you get monetized in 3 fucking weeks. Example reference, as heel versus babyface, and his good friend Pork Chop 14 gave him a big promotion, and now he's a up and coming content creator. So for me, when I think of Smash JT versus Colin Moriarty, I think to myself, Smash, you have the makings to be a vanguard leader in this movement, but every great leader has to have 2 things: the iron will to succeed, and for lack of a better term, the killer instinct to do what must be done to win.
Oh.
Disgusting, tangent kings of new age, a story sing